How do you know when it's time to buy your second investment property? If you're just getting started in real estate and you bought your first property, you might be really excited to jump in there and buy your second property. There's a few things that you should do or that you should know before you go and buy your second property though. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you what those things are. You're watching the Improved channel focused on real estate investing. If you've been getting any value out of the videos that I've been posting, I'd love it and really appreciate it if you'd click the like button and if you would subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. I'd sure appreciate it. So when do you know when it's time to buy your second property? So let's say you just got started in real estate and you're having a really good time and you bought your first property and you got your renter in there and they're renting and you're like, okay, I'm feeling good. I'm doing it. This is great. How do you know when it's time to buy your second property? What I would encourage you to do is slow it down for just a moment and understand the whole process. So you have the property. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you can refinance the property. If you get too many properties without having paying tenants in there, it's going to start becoming very, very difficult to refinance properties. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to go and talk with a bank and make sure that you can get that property financed. So if you bought it in hard money and you're moving over towards buying it or financing it for long term, then you want to make sure that you can get that loan on that property before you buy your second property. Now, if you just bought it traditionally through a bank or something like that, and you were able to get that long term, so you've already done that step, and now it's time to move on to the next step. So the first thing you want to make sure is that you have stabilized that property. Okay, so the property is stabilized. What that means is that you have a paying tenant that's in your property and they've been in the property for a little while and they're paying on time and it looks like things are going well for that property. Okay, the second thing that you want is you want to make sure that you have cash reserves for that one property. So a lot of people are going to wonder, so how much in cash reserves should I keep per property? Well, at the beginning, you have to take a look at, okay, what are the possible repairs that I'm going to need to make on this one property? And so let's say it's a property worth about $100,000. Let's see, I should probably keep at least $5,000 to $10,000 in cash reserves for one property. And let me tell you why. What if this tenant were to stop paying all of a sudden? Well, if all of my costs in keeping that property going are about $1,000, including the mortgage and the taxes and insurance and things like that, then I need to have several months where I can make sure that I can make the payments on the mortgage. I'd hate to have an investment and then go and get another investment and then not have enough in reserves in order to pay for things that come up for with my first investment and then risk losing that one investment. So I should have cash reserves. And what I'm going to suggest to you is having maybe 5 to 10% of what that property's value is in cash reserves. Okay, so maybe having 5,000 or 10,000, or if it's a little bit more expensive a property, maybe about 15 to 20,000. Okay, that again may seem like it's a lot, but if the AC goes out, that's about $5,000. Or what if I have a bad tenant and they hurt my property or they destroy things and they move out and it takes me, a few months and, rehabbing the property, putting $5,000 or $10,000 into rehabbing it, plus all the time that I spent needing to pay on the mortgage and everything else that I wasn't getting any income for. So it's helpful to make sure that you have maybe 5 or 10% of what the value of the property is just in cash reserves. Now, later on down the line, as you get more and more properties, you're not going to need to keep 5 or 10% in cash reserves for every property that you own. But if you only own 1 or 2, I would suggest having 5 or 10% in cash reserves. So the third thing you should have in order to buy your second property is enough money for the down payment for your second property. So you can do it creatively and do some creative financing and other things like that in order to get your second property. But just make sure that after you get your second property or in the process of getting it, that you're able to have enough money to get that second property. Whether that means that I'm using my own money or I'm using a hard money lender and a private money lender, some sort of combination of those things, or if I'm taking the property over what's called subject to. Those are all creative financing strategies, and that's totally fine. But what's important to remember is I'm going to have enough money to come in and help rehab the property or do what I need to do and still have those cash reserves. So I don't take the cash reserves in order to buy my next property. Those are there, and then what I'm doing is I'm taking other money in order to help me buy my next property. And that money might need to stay in that property in order to help get it refinanced, or I might be able to do it in such a way to where I'm able to suck out that money. But what's important is I have enough money in order to do that without using my cash reserves. So hopefully this is helpful. Again, it's a short little video, but I really wanted to share this with you because I have a lot of coaching students right now that have purchased their first property and they're really excited to go and buy their next property. So this video is for them, but it's for anybody who has one rental property that are really excited about buying their second. Just make sure you have those three things: a stabilized property with a paying tenant, 2, cash reserves in case anything were to happen, and number 3, you have enough money in order to buy that second property. Or you can use creative financing and you have some money that you can put into it in order to help with that whole process. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. Again, if you like the videos that I've been posting, please subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope you have a fantastic day and good luck in investing.